It's really snowing out there. Really coming down hard. The snow is really coming down like a blizzard. This is the second snowstorm after the fires in Louisville and Superior, Colorado. Traffic's really going pretty slow. You can hear that on the road that it's snow packed. The tires are pretty silent going across there. Usually you can hear them whooshing by. Everything's coated with snow once again. Hey, it's January 5th, 2022. It's been a little bit since I updated you, just simply because I was in a situation where we had a lot of snow. We had 8.5 inches of snow where I am, and on top of where the wildfires were. However, there are some hot spots that were still burning underneath the snow. I don't know what the situation with that is now, whether they're out, but we are now currently right in the midst of another blizzard that just started late this afternoon. Fortunately, I got back, like right as it was really starting to get going. I just wanted to state that the wildfires were not where my former home was, that my mom and I lived in. Even though we're in the same county where the fires happened, the fires were in a couple of other cities further over, more to the south. So it's been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster ride. My sister was really in danger the other day, and her home was in danger. Now I've got, something going on with the snow on the eastern seaboard, and people that are without power, people that are melting snow to try to have water. And they finally got out today, but another big heavy snowstorm is headed that way, and they have not repaired the power. They've been without power for 3 days, and I'm just asking you to pray for everybody in that situation. The whole ridiculous thing that happened on I-95 out there on the East Coast, there's no excuse whatsoever for the commander-in-chief not sending out the National Guard over there on I-95 to at least distribute food and water. They have vehicles that have very big tractor tires that they can rescue people. So anyway, I know that they got the jam up cleared out finally, but that was just, in my book, no excuse for that. There's a lot of misinformation about the fires that I've seen on people's videos, one of which somebody claimed there was a beam that shot across, in some blue aerial weather thing that they showed. And that was not a beam. It was a gust of wind that was blowing smoke across, and it started at a point of origin, and the smoke was being blown by 108-mile-hour gust in that area right at that time. So you could literally see it from space, and that is what that is going across there that was highlighted in a blue. It was a smoke streak from the wind gust. So I just want to clarify that that was not a beam. I've been really concerned the last few days. My mom and I would go eat over in Louisville sometimes, and this gentleman that has owned a restaurant over there for a long time, he was between two of the roads that were on fire. I have no idea whether his business is still going or whether it burned down, but they had moved locations at one point, and I believe that the buildings that were at the old location were right beside where they used to be. So I don't know. I've been really praying and worried about his family. He's a wonderful man, and his wife is wonderful. And so I just have been very worried about people. They had a couple of people missing. They have not been able to locate two of the people. One of the people was found, and two of the people, it was bitter cold. Like, we had 5-degree temperatures one night, and then it dipped down below 0. So it was very cold and bitter, and I tried not to get out too much because I don't have a car that does very well on ice and snow. So anyway, the temperatures were bitter, and then we had 2 days where it warmed up into like the low 40s, and yesterday was one of those days, and today it was fairly clear. There are a lot of shoveled snow mounds, that were as high as my car where they plowed. So obviously that's just from the plow building it up, but it was difficult to get out and move around, and I finally was able to get a couple of things at the store so that if this next storm comes that I have something here. So I'm grateful for that. So something else that happened is that the night after the fires happened, the fire alarm went off here, and I thought, oh no, because it was 5 degrees outside, and I had just come in from shoveling ice and snow off my car. We had that 8.5 inches that had landed on my car. It was very heavy to shovel off and to scrape the windows. By the time I got to scraping the ice, my hands couldn't take the cold anymore. Even though I had gloves on, they were frozen. So I came in, and the fire alarm went off as soon as I was in my room. And the man across from me, he comes out of his room. I look down the hall, and it's billowing with smoke, and smoke is filling the corridors. And whoever was in the room down there, actually the room I used to be in, they were catching their food on fire on the stove. And so that was like the guy across the hall said, I just escaped the fire over there, and I come over here and there's a fire. So he was kind of distraught, and so I talked to him for a little while, and he said that some of his friends and neighbors, their houses burned to the ground, but his house was spared, thank God. But they had only let in to go view what was left of people's homes. They stationed the National Guard over there, and they wouldn't let people in, to the city unless they cleared them or, looked at their ID to see if they really had a home there. I have not been over to the area just because we had those bitter cold days, and it was difficult driving around the first couple of days. So it was starting to get really slick when I got back over here, when I was at the store just momentarily. The wind started blowing the snow that was on the street, and it was literally making these patterns in snow just from the snow shifting around that was landing. So that was really interesting looking. And the wind is picked up and it's blowing the snow, and the temperature's dropping right now. And I took some pictures, so I'm just gonna show you the pictures of the snow. And as far as the investigation goes, the sheriff's department is still investigating the fires and the origin point. There were people that filmed this shed that was all ablaze, and flames were just billowing out because they got that 108-mile-an-hour wind gust, and people were trying to hold each other up, trying to walk and get out of there. But some people filmed this shed on fire. So they have investigated. The Sheriff Pelly, he got the search warrant to investigate that point of origin. I gave an update on my last video underneath the video where I said that they did come to the conclusion with the utility company that was not the power lines. No power lines were found to be down, only communication lines that do not start fires. Even though they were broken and hanging down, they don't start fires. So Sheriff Pelly said that they wanted to be methodical about the investigation. They don't want to release any information too soon, because this whole fire that burned down like 2 whole cities partially is a huge investigation. They really want to make sure that they have the information correct when they release whatever happened, who was responsible, and names of persons that they're investigating. They're not releasing any information till they have it all into one cohesive picture to share with people. So that's what's going on with that. And there were people who filmed the shed. So those films were given to the sheriff's department. And Sheriff Pelly, his wife, used to work at our post office. And she was in some Bible studies with my mom. So I believe that she and her husband are Christians, and that they're doing the best job that they know how to do in their field. So we are just praying for people who have no homes, and they have more than enough volunteers, more than enough donated goods. They had set up a GoFundMe. The last time I read, something like $12 million had been donated to them. So all of that is benefiting their needs and their causes and all. They're not just collecting money through a GoFundMe. They have other foundations in Boulder that are collecting the money, and that's one of them that I read was the one that they had raised $12 million. I don't know about the other things. So they have had food trucks and restaurants and hotels that have been helping out as well for those people. Partly what made me real sad is that some of the animals did perish. There was a cat that this gentleman's house burned down, but he thought that he had left the door open so the cat could get out. And whether he did or not, he didn't remember, but somebody did find his cat alive. However, the cat was, it had burned, like the eyelashes, the whiskers were all burned off, the tips of the ears were burned. Somebody else had quick thinking to see that their neighbor needed to have his dog rescued because he had left, and that saved that dog's life. One of the news people said that they saw a rabbit that had perished. I don't know, it's just been traumatizing in a lot of ways. These are areas where, you know, I've gone all my life, places shopping, and it's strange to just see the devastation. You know, the Costco store is still standing, and the Target store that's next to it where Mom and I used to go. And all the way behind those stores, though, was completely flattened down to ash. All the homes. And the gentleman across the hall here who told me that his house was not burned down told me that they managed to save the Avista Hospital by digging a World War II type trench all the way in a circle around the hospital. A real deep trench so that the fire wouldn't jump over and catch the hospital on fire. And that's what saved it. They had evacuated that hospital, but the gentleman told me that everything on the other side of the trench around the hospital burned to the ground to ash. So there's been a lot going on. And then I had the one sister had the situation where she was getting ready to evacuate. I thought she had already, but they only made the fire line go so far, and then they were extending the pre-evacuation orders. So I'm very thankful that the wind died down so it stopped pushing the flames her direction, and praise God for that. But now I've got other family that's stuck in this power outage. So the whole East Coast area that is under this winter storm warning, they're going to get hit again with several inches of snow, and they've already had over a foot of snow. So we just need to keep everybody in our prayers. This is not really a prophetic video by any means, other than it's just things going on all over the world weather-wise, and you know, some of these events are normal events, but others are just kind of like, wow. Right now I'm looking at the weather advisory here. The winter weather advisory, it's 12 degrees. They said that we're going to get total snow accumulation 2 to 4 inches, wind gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. Ware, Boulder, and the western suburbs of Denver, Greeley, and Byers until 3 a.m. on Thursday. The roads will likely become slick, and I'm here to tell you they already are. They were a couple of hours ago. And hazardous. Plan on slippery road conditions. The hazardous conditions could impact the Wednesday evening commute. Precautionary preparedness actions. Slow down and use caution while traveling. The latest road conditions for Colorado can be obtained by calling 511 or by going to www.cotrip.org. So that's what our winter weather advisory is right now. I got back and I was slipping already a little bit in my car, and it was still light out at that point. And now the sun is on its way down. It's probably already set. I'm trying to see the window behind me there. Anyway, that is the situation, 12 degrees. And it looks like we're going to get down to 5 degrees again tonight. And snow is likely for the next several hours. On the East Coast there, in the DC area and around that region, they are expecting the heaviest snow is expected between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. when snowfall rates of 1 inch per hour are possible. Precautionary preparedness actions: slow down and use caution while traveling. When venturing outside, watch your first few steps taken on steps, sidewalks, driveways, which could be icy and slippery, increasing your risk of a fall and injury. It says plan on slippery road conditions. The hazardous conditions could impact the Friday morning commute from 9 p.m. Thursday to 5 a.m. Friday. A winter weather advisory in effect. This is for Maryland and Virginia area and the DC area. And they are saying a winter weather advisory in effect from 9 p.m. Thursday to 5 a.m. Eastern Friday. Snow total accumulation there of 1 to 3 inches. Isolated higher amounts of around 5 inches are possible. They also have a gale watch out for ships. Small craft advisory for the gale watch from Friday morning through Friday afternoon. Strong winds can cause hazardous waves which could capsize or damage vessels and reduce visibility. Precautionary preparedness actions. Mariners should consider altering plans to avoid possible hazardous conditions. Remain in port, seek safe harbor, alter course and/or secure the vessel for severe wind and waves. And that is issuing from the Baltimore, Washington area. And that gale watch is in effect from Friday morning through Friday afternoon. And let's see, southwest winds around 10 knots with gusts up to 20 knots. For the gale watch, northwest winds 15 to 25 knots with gusts up to 35 knots possible. And it says that that is located from the tidal Potomac River from Key Bridge to Cobb Island, Maryland. So that's where that's going on. I wanted to report too that there were very icy roads that were like an ice skating rink in Connecticut, and some of the cars just started sliding down a hill and they were spinning all around and could not stop or get a control of their vehicle. And also in New Jersey there were accidents from a sheer sheet of ice on the highway. So people are experiencing just all of these weather phenomenons of winter weather. I told you about the Costco. They had footage of people that were told to get out of that building, and when they stepped outside the doors, it was just like this raging wind of smoke that was very intense. And thank God the place did not burn to the ground. But you know, we've seen all of these tornadoes, the tornado damage that destroyed people's homes and recently, and then we've seen lightning strikes in Alabama with tornado possibilities. They had storm chasers chasing those. The lightning struck really close to where they were filming. There was a gentleman that was 75 years old, and he got in an area near a volcano that was an out-of-bounds area, and apparently he fell in and died. And they found his body near the rim of the volcano. That was reported on the Weather Channel. There's just a lot happening. And sometimes I just really feel like I need to take a break. You know. So those are just a few of the things that have been happening. And we just trust in God for our strength to get us through rough times. You know, there's people that are sick that have been battling illness. We pray for Tyler, Generation 2434. We ask Jesus to heal him and his whole family, and anybody else that's struggling and sick. And just help us all. I need help. I'm thankful for kind people that have been on my channel, that I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for some love shown to me. So I'm thankful for that. Anyway, I just wanted to report on a few things and now you know specifically what to pray. Pray that the power gets turned back on the eastern coast, and that people have food and water and shelter and fire, and are able to cook food, and that God would give us relief from these storms. Thank you for listening for what I have to say. I just wanted to update you a little bit, and if I can get over to the area, if they open up the area where the fires were and I can get some footage, I'll try to do that at some point. But, you know, they're kind of keeping people out of that area for the most part. So hopefully pretty soon we'll get a little bit of relief from the bitter cold weather. Tonight it's going to be 5 degrees, and I don't know if it'll dip down further or not, but hopefully things will warm up and the sun will come out tomorrow. Okay, well, I guess I'll sign out, and hope you like my little snowflake lights here. I've had these hanging on my almond tree. It just adds a little joy to my life and my situation here. So, thanks for watching, and try to snuggle up under your blankets, and God provide everything that you need and everything I need, and just God keep us all in His loving care. I just ask God to strengthen everybody who, you know, needs strengthening right now. People that are struggling, people that are puzzled by why things are happening the way they are. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I wanted to show you a few of the pictures I took of how the snow is falling, and this was filmed about an hour and a half ago. So now the sun has gone down and things are going to be getting a lot more chilly. All right, well, I just wanted to give you this report and update what's going on, and that's about all for tonight. Talk to you soon. Look, there's a bear. The wind is really blowing the snow now. You can see it against this black backdrop. They have this